So what do you think about the current situation in the Broadwater with the recent removal by Maritime Safety Queensland of this derelict vessel?
Inevitably, that cost needs to be borne by the vessel owner. How we get that money back from him, that's up to smarter minds than me.
Have you heard of many incidences where derelict vessels have become an eyesore in the Broadwater?
I've heard of a number of derelict vessels, but by which I can count on one hand, and that would be 5. In terms of eyesore, I'm sorry, but yeah, aesthetically, there is no pretty police per se.
What do you think of the government's response as of late to this ongoing problem?
It seems to me that there would be a little bit of manufactured outrage. How many vessels have we had sink on the Broadwater? How many have we had sink that are deemed derelict? And how many are actually out there? We don't know.
What kind of legislation do you hope governments in the future will be able to implement to stop this ongoing issue?
The issue of people living on the Broadwater is social. They're clearly doing it for financial reasons. They can't afford to live on the land in most of those situations. How do they legislate against it, or what should be done? Look, that's a lot further. That's a bigger question. I don't quite think you know how to get to the answer of that. Clearly, boating bodies, water police, governments, council, they all need to have their piece of answer.
There's been a lot of outrage about the conflict between Maritime Safety Queensland, the Water Police, and then the Gold Coast Waterways Authority, which is 3 different entities for just the Gold Coast Waterways alone. What do you think should be the norm? Do you think we should have one entity, or do you think because we have these 3 entities, this is one of the problems why derelict vessels are on our coastline for weeks or months on end?
You have 3 different entities with 3 different budgets with 3 different agendas, and inevitably not one of them actually being the dominant or leader. It's like a partnership in business. One needs to be the dominant player and tell them what we're doing. That doesn't happen. Is 3 too many? Probably. Is 2 too many? I can't answer that. I probably think 2 is probably the number where you have the water police, and then from there you have a governing body. Is that slowing the problem down? No, because inevitably with 3 bodies they can't manage a way of resolving it. No, the problem won't get better.
And finally, what's your main concern with derelict vessels on our waterways? Is it primarily the pollution that comes out of derelict vessels, such as feces, such as petrol, fuel, diesel, or is it more environmental? Is there another concern you wish to explore?
Look, if you look at somebody that's living on a vessel and the vessel isn't derelict, then one of course has to wonder where their effluent goes. Where does their black water go? In the scheme of other hazardous material, well look, obviously if the vessel's derelict and then sinks, then one has to wonder where the fuel and the oil and whatever else goes. But again, how many vessels have actually sank and how many are derelict? Then we look at other types of vessels, be it jet skis that submerge just purely through whatever they do. How many of them have we pulled out of the water this year, and how much fuel or toxins have entered our waterway purely based on something else? There has to be a balanced number, and to be honest, as I said, we seem to have a manufactured outrage towards those that live on the Broadwater. Is the Broadwater improving? No. Has it worsened over the past couple of years? Yes. But in all honesty, be it with all those bodies that we've spoken about, none of them can manage it.
And what do you think the simple solution to this issue is? Is it cooperation between the entities that are in place and government officials? Should government officials have more of a push towards these entities to get these vessels derelict or what have you out of our waterways?
Look, until we know how many derelict vessels we have, it's hard to say should they go and where should they go. I mean, if I park my car in the middle of surface paradise, I can guarantee it's going to be towed away after a couple of days. So I can't understand why we have this issue. At some point, there needs to be one of the bodies, and only one of the bodies, need to take leadership of it, and then need to resolve how they move forward with it. But as I said, if I park my car in the middle of surface, I can guarantee within 7 days it'll be towed away.